All right, so we're gonna go ahead and dive into this and get this party started. This is the Roofing Operations Masterclass. Welcome. Just a couple of basic things that are different about our webinar specifically. One thing is it's interactive, so if you have any questions at any point, please feel free to go ahead and stop in the chat. My team members, we have Kelly and we have Oscar, they're going to be monitoring the chat. So if there's something that I'm not able to get to right away, they'll be able to go in and answer that question for you specifically. It is a long webinar. It is 2 hours. We highly recommend staying till the end. Most importantly, the reason is that we usually give away some promotions, and we always have a discount for our classes on these webinars. So if you've been, contemplating if the operations programs that we have are a good fit for you, or in general, you just want to get some really good content that's going to help you get organized for 2025. My job for the next 2 hours is to provide as much valuable as I humanly possibly can, so that this investment of your time provides you with an ROI. So irregardless, if you decide to sign up for one of our classes, my goal for you guys here today is to answer any questions that you might have on operations and really help you get an idea of 2025 and where you want to be. So, just to give you an idea of what the itinerary is for today, we're going to start off with some company foundations, just some basics on why you're doing what you're doing, communicating your vision and your mission. We're going to go through a really important factor on market research. And this is the number one way that whenever I'm consulting for a company or working with them, I want to start off with the data. And then we're going to dive into the common business structures we see in the industry, and what works and what we've seen is the most profitable way to organize your hierarchy. So this is all based off of real life case studies, business owners that I've been working with one-on-one over the last 9 years. None of the content is hypothetical. None of it is theoretical. It is all actually applicable. I've written SOPs for literally hundreds of roofers. And what I did is I took all of the most common things and put it together on a template. So, and I guarantee you, a lot of you might be like, well, we do things very differently. I promise you, there's some overlap between you and the other 2,000 roofers who actively use our programs. You're going to get something out of everything that we do. So once we get through the basics, we are going to dive into the actual process. We're not going to have time to deep dive into each singular part of the process just because of the interest of time, but we are going to overview and talk high level on each of these processes and breakpoints, and we're going to have an open Q&A. A big benefit of our actual webinars is we typically stay open for a Q&A long after the webinar has finished. So if you really want some one-on-one support and you want me to answer more questions, stay tuned to the open Q&A and I will answer any specific questions that you have. And again, I'll use a lot of the pain points that I've helped contractors solve, from startups all the way to the largest companies that I've consulted for. So for a total of over $750 million in roofing revenue, I've sat down and written SOPs for. So very excited to share with you guys. One thing people commonly ask, what in the world is 411 roofing systems? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So this is me. I guarantee you next time you see another ad, my hair will most likely be a different color. But I have consulted on a one-on-one basis with over 500 companies, even though we have thousands of users today. I've sat down and actually organized processes over the last 9 years, 5 years I've been in business, since I started Business 411. So I'm the founder and CEO of Business 411. Something that I'm very passionate about is education in this industry. When I started, it was way harder to learn the industry than it should have been. I had to basically go into manufacturers, suppliers, shadow roofing companies, just to get a basic grasp of what was happening. And I can only imagine if I was a sales rep for a roofer, how hard and challenging it would have been to truly master the industry. So, what would have taken me probably 90 days with really good training books and systems to learn the industry, it took me 2 years to get a great grasp on the residential, retail side, on the insurance side, estimating, production, sales. It took a lot of time. And this is coming from someone who was spending 40 hours a week at that time helping roofers with their technology and estimating processes. So, since I've launched Business 411 with my team, we've actually launched over 650 different brands. 100 of those have been custom brands. These are names that I made up and ended up selling off to different roofers, help them create their mascots and get their business, bringing it to life. Over $750 million in roofing revenue. And I really want to touch on this point for a second. A lot of times people feel apprehensive, like, okay, so you've never ran a roofing company, but the difference is I've consulted for hundreds of them. I've sat down and seen not just the complications and the challenges of one roofing company that I grew. I've seen thousands of them over the years and provided, very strategic and easy solutions that are there that you can actually implement. And one thing that I say in my classes is there is no secret formula. The same things that I see a roofer struggling with at $10 million a year, I've seen a roofer struggling with at $2 million a year. So we're going to talk about how some of the issues that you don't resolve when you're a smaller business, they just grow as the amount of revenue that you actually do grows. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm very privileged that we have over 2,000 roofing companies using our content. Guys, trust me, it's still small in comparison to how many roofers are out there. So it's a huge competitive advantage for all of our clients who are using our services today. This is our classes. This is one of the 411 roofing classes. We have a over 4,000 square foot facility where we train roofers throughout the year. We have had, man, this year has been crazy. Even last month I had 2 classes, and they were both very, very intense. Last week, the week before last, I taught a class specifically on how to open up a new territory or how to open up a new branch. So this year alone, we've hosted here in our office over 400 roofers who've traveled all over the country to come in and learn some of the things that we talk about. And we have over 3 new classes this year alone. So drop a comment in the chat if you've ever used one of our training materials, any one of our books. I want to see, who do we have here that is a Business 411 client? Awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys. Shout out to Kelly. Kelly, I am so glad that we have her on the team. She is behind the scenes. She's going to be there on the chat. She's the one who helps bring all of these manuals and training content to life. So everything you see here today, yes, I'm the visionary, but could not do this without the integrator, the one who's running the show, Kelly. So shout out to her. And she'll be answering your questions throughout the training today. Awesome. Very cool. Thank you guys. I feel so privileged. Wow, a lot of you guys are already using our content. Thank you. That's awesome. I really appreciate it. Alrighty, so enough about me. Let's focus on what we're gonna do here today and what we're here to accomplish. First of all, we want to create a platform for you guys to really be able to develop and share your company vision. So whatever your goal is, we're going to talk about why it needs to be integrated into your process. A lot of times as CEOs, as business owners, we have this idea of what we want our business to become, yet we don't integrate it into the way our company operates. So there's always this gap where we want to be to how we actually operate. And our goal is for you to operate as the business that you want to be before you're even at that level yet. So the quicker you operate at a better level, at a higher level, the easier it is going to be to be able to actually grow as a business. We're going to really talk about how to understand your company structure and how to build a repeatable process. There's a lot of different people on this call. Some of you might have established teams. Some of you might still be in that startup phase. So if you want to drop a comment in more or less where you're at revenue and team size, just so I can have an idea. At our typical classes, it's insane. We have sometimes in the same exact class, a company that's doing $1 million a year and a company that's doing $32 million a year. And we just had that happen at our last class. And then we had companies of all sizes in between at that class. So it is really interesting to see how, if you don't have a repeatable process, regardless of company size, there is going to be some break points within the business. And then we're going to talk about how to create an action plan for some of the major pain points that you might be dealing with. Now, a lot of you might have great ideas and might know what you want to work on, but you don't have necessarily an action plan in place on how to resolve some of these challenges. Or you're looking to put together that action plan. So my goal today, especially during the open Q&A, is to help you put together some practical strategies on how you're going to be able to overcome some of these challenges. So what we're going to talk about today, there's two big things that you need to know when you're working with us is number one, we're going to focus on just one process at a time. We're going to go granular and really discuss these points during the class. Today, yes, we're going to be talking about it from a high level, but we are going to talk about each of the different processes and how we've broken them down. And then the second key point is what are being honest with some of the issues that you have in your business, not just with us, but more importantly with yourself. Because a lot of the times, if we continue to be blind to some of those bottlenecks, that's what keeps us with where we're at. And what's more dangerous in business are the things that we don't know that affect our profitability, our structure, and even our team mindset and the culture that they feel when they come to work. So let's start off with some of the very, very common issues that I've seen at every different size of revenue, like we've been chatting about. The first is most teams do not have a documented process for them to actually follow. So you have a lot of confusion within the business model, or the business owner might have a certain expectation on what should be happening, but it's never been properly communicated to the team. So this includes sales, this includes operations, this includes your admin, your production, your crews, your field managers, your repair techs. Every single one on your team needs to have a documented process, especially if you want to create great accountability, which is the second one at the same time we're going to be talking about, which is a lack of accountability due to those roles not being outlined. Now, when you have a team, and we're going to talk about the difference when you have team members who are specialists, so they have a specialized role, and that transition point when you're in a more of a startup phase where team members are taking on multiple roles, and what that actually looks like as well, and how to actually set those up for success. So next, we're going to talk about job consistency and client onboarding. Client onboarding is a missed opportunity for every company that I've worked with because you want the client to feel like they're your client, a client of the business, and not just like they have a sales rep. So it's, yes, leveraging the relationship with the sales rep and communicating with them and providing them great service, but as a company also taking ownership and control and guaranteeing that that client is going to have the type of experience you want them to have. Another one is margins not being set or maintained during the sales and production process. The reason why this is a crucial one is you have to have a job budget for the pre-build process and then track that job budget all the way to the end and actually create a P&L on your job. So some of you might already be doing these things. One thing we're going to talk about is the formulas you're using and how to get as accurate as possible when it comes to estimating and the build process. And then one we see when teams are growing is sales and office are like at the opposite ends of the spectrum and just really don't have that team unity necessary to grow the business. Two more issues. I know, a lot of problems. Is the fall off in communication with the homeowner as the job progresses. I see this for both retail and insurance, but a bigger emphasis on insurance since it is a longer process. A lot of times there's a big drop off in communication with the client when they're going through the claims process. So they might not be receiving timely updates or enough check-ins throughout that period. And then once the claim's approved, they move on and look for the cheapest bid. And the roofer's left like, well, the client, just canceled on me. We did all this work. Yes, but what's worth doing all the work if you're not being consistent with the communication and staying top of mind? And then on the retail side, the communication is most important when it comes to production and project management, since depending on the business model and your service area, what the territory you're going to have, what kind of systems you're installing, will determine how often you need to communicate and how extended the installation process is going to be. And last but not least is if you're the main problem solver in your business, that is a bottleneck. We're going to talk about why it's important to equip our team members and give them the opportunity to make decisions and help our clients win. So let's talk about each of you today. We're going to take a second and we're going to set up, now that you have an idea, some of the content specifically that I'm going to be covering today. I want you to just to give me an idea of what's your main objective from this content specifically. I know some of you added some other challenges and things that you want to work out in the business. However, what I just discussed are the things we're going to be talking about today specifically. Drop a comment with your biggest objective. I want to learn more about documenting processes, how to remove some of the bottlenecks of me being the chief hat wearer and so many job descriptions. David, one thing that I really, when I was starting my business, about 2 or 3 months in, I said, I do not want to be the chief everything officer. I want to be a business owner. And I went to work on building my team. I would not be where I am today if I did everything. It's impossible to scale like that. Support within the sales, production simplified processes, and eliminating bottlenecks. I love that. I want my new company to have a good base so we can be successful. More clients. Yes, you know how that happens. A great sales and retention process, team building, better foundation, setting up processes, brushing up on SOPs, lack of documented processes, systematic. Alrighty, awesome. Wow, I love it. So what we'll do is do a sneak peek at the SOP. It seems like that's what everybody wants to see here today. So after the class, we'll go in and dive with it. Alrighty, so what are the three things? Well, actually, we'll dive right into company foundations. So first of all, let's start off with the foundations. And for those of you who already have your business established, some of these pointers are just great points to revisit going into 2025. And if you're just setting up your business, I'd recommend going into this with a fresh and open mind. Irregardless, if you have some things in place, if you think you've developed your vision and mission, I just want you to really listen in and see if there's something that you can improve. Every time I've done this exercise, I've tweaked and I've added something and thought of a way to better execute my vision and my mission. So first of all, let's start off with a very basic fact. There are over 100,000 roofing companies in the United States, and there's a dozen or so more opening by the day. So it is getting harder and harder to stand out, but it's a great opportunity to be able to stand out if you have a good system, if you have a good process and a good mission. Now something that we hear people actually talk about but not executed properly is what is their why. A lot of times you hear people say their why and then their business is built completely differently and there's no integration of that why into the way the business operates. So, number one is why you're doing what you do. And here's the most important thing. Why do customers deserve to work with you? And we face this common market misconception where contractors are not seen as a high quality trade. However, you as a business, if you're here on this call specifically, it means that you're above average and you want to do something different. So the clients deserve to work with a contractor like you. They don't deserve to work with someone who's going to scam them or not take care of them or not do a good job. So there's two things. You have that they deserve to work with you, and also you also have that responsibility to create the best business that you can. So we're going to talk about what is a vision statement. And the more that I am telling you, I've done this exercise so many times, and every time I do it, I get even better at it. I define my vision more. And I do this at least yearly to get a better idea of where I want to go. And I use vision statements in different ways. It could be not just for the whole company, but I also use this for the year. So if you already have your vision statement for the company, I would like you to think about this exercise, a way to create your vision statement for 2025. So, a vision statement, when we're doing one for the company, is a description of the desired future state of the company. Now, if you're doing this for the year, it would be a description of the desired future of the business in 2025. And let's talk about the difference between what you do and what's the actual vision. The what? Disney is a company that operates theme parks, resorts, broadcast networks, and stream TV shows and movies. The vision is to be one of the leading producers and providers of entertainment and information in the world. So, number one, the rules for how to write your vision. This is not the financial metric or goal of what you're trying to accomplish. It also is not a description of your services. It's what you aim to be, where a high view picture of the impact that you're going to create. And then it goes directly into your mission statement, which is a concise explanation of the reason your business exists. So, what's the purpose and the overall intention? So, the mission of the Walt Disney Company is to entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling, reflecting the iconic brands, creative minds, and innovative technologies that make ours the world's premier entertainment company. So, it does not say our goal is to release, 1 million movies. It says what their goal is to it's their mission is to entertain, inform, and inspire people. That's what they aim to do. And a lot of times when I hear contractors write their vision and mission, it's like to build quality roofs, to be the best roofer in my area. I want you to think deeper and, more importantly, think bigger. There's something unique about each and every person who has a company, who has a reason for existing, and it's how that actually translate into how the business operates. So, why is it important to have all of this clearly defined? Sorry, let me refresh here. I wanted to share our vision and mission with you guys to give you an idea of how we've applied this. So, the vision for Business 411, our vision is to become the world's leading authority in business education for the construction industry, setting the standard for excellence and innovation in the field. That's right, we're going for more than just roofing. We're dropping our gutter guides soon, actually this week. So we are going to come for all of the construction trades and do our best to create the most education in this industry at every single level. Our mission is to empower businesses to build their dream companies while enriching the lives of our team members along the way. And this mission is actually written in our class now. We designed a really nice vinyl that says this mission because my goal is not only to help each of you here build your dream company, but I want my team to have a great life, to find a place where they can bring their passion and their skills into their workplace and on their day-to-day life. So the importance, this creates team alignment and focus when I'm actually creating an initiative, when I'm thinking about what I want to expand on, what I want to scale up or scale down over the next year. I have to maintain a core alignment with that vision and mission. It also helps with motivation and engagement. My team understands that we're not just here to produce another manual, we're here to impact the industry at a global scale. It allows for consistency when you're solving problems and actually making decisions. It helps people collaborate a lot better across all departments. And my favorite thing is it helps with recruiting and retention. So, most importantly, when it comes to recruiting, I want to get a strong buy in from my team members from day one. And I want them to understand that we're actually fighting for something. We're going to make a huge impact. And last but not least, I want all of our clients to have a better experience. So that's something that we're going to always work on improving each and every day. And it's a mindset. So if your vision and mission are clear and built into the way that your business operates, or you're developing processes for your business with your vision and mission well defined, you'll be able to make better choices for what types of processes your business needs. And you won't always be operating off of the problems you need to fix, but you'll be operating in where do I want to take this, which is a different mental shift as a business owner. And that's just going from a reactive problem solving every single day to a proactive. I'm creating the future and the outcome that I want and progressing towards that every single day. So I want you to think about this for a second. How do you communicate your mission to your clients? All right. So you maybe have a mission, but how do your clients actually get to even see what your mission is? How do they experience it? And I want you guys to drop a couple comments. Let's hear. How are you guys communicating your mission? While we're doing that, I'll go into a couple other questions. Yes, we do have a gutter guide. We do have solar. Correct. Yeah, in just a few, I'll show you guys the gutter guide. Awesome. Ooh, Dwayne said to provide, so he's telling us what his vision is, but Victor did a good job of how he communicates the mission is with the kitchen table presentations. I really like that, Victor. Dwayne says to provide exceptional roofing and exterior solutions with unwavering integrity and professionalism, dedicated to leading the interactive practices and a commitment to quality while fostering a strong sense of community. Okay. So how are you communicating that to your customer, Dwayne? Max Roofing, bringing up the mission in the very beginning. Absolutely. I think that's a great way to start. And that's one reason why I wanted to share my vision and mission with Business 411 with all of you guys. So not only today, but for years to come, when you think about us, is that's what you're going to be thinking when you see us in a new trade in another industry and be like, okay, that's what Liz's goal is. Dwayne said, that's our mission statement we have in all our materials we share with our customers. I love that. I love that having it in your materials. I also believe you should have this on your website. It should be integrated into your slogan. It should be on your contract at the very top. It should be in every area of your business that you can communicate that mission. And also, the biggest way that you communicate your mission is by how you treat your customers and the way your business operates. So, for example, this is where we see a huge disconnect. My mission could be to be doing all of these things. But if I don't operate this way, then that's not my mission. I'm not acting in alignment with my mission, even if I have it printed out on every area of my business. If my business is not operating within my mission, then I'm out of alignment and I need to figure out what do I need to do to recenter where my business is going. So that's a food for thought on just a long term. If you already have your vision and your mission done, what I want you to think about is how can you integrate this into the way that you operate in every area of your processes. Okay, so we're going to talk about market research, and all of you on this call are wild because I know for a fact that 99% of the roofers that I talked to before they started their company, they did not do any research. They just went in and started this business. I might have one or two, just based off of statistics, maybe 3 companies on this call who went in, did data analysis and market research on their local community prior to opening their roofing company. So, who actually has ever done some kind of market research just so I can have an idea? Wendy. It's always the ladies, us ladies. We love to plan. I have. Awesome. Awesome. I always know there's less people who are gonna do this than those who have. There's less people who will actually do this. So market research, what it helps us understand is our customers' needs and preferences. It also helps us understand our competitors and our market size. And it helps us develop strategies based on trends and opportunities. Guys, I'm also going to tell you something. All of this talk about private equity and franchises in the roofing industry, they are all doing market research to see the best markets to go into. And the news is some of you are already in fantastic markets, but you're not leveraging the data that they will be when they do come into your markets. So, for example, a franchise is typically going to be selling a service or a territory area for about 400,000 homeowners. That will be their area that they sell, and that's a territory. So, we're going to talk about why market research is so important and some of the key points, and I'm going to give you example. During the 411 class, we run the research for you based off of your zip code. It's a huge benefit for attending the class, but I'm also just going to tell you some of the things that you should look up if this class is not within your budget or timeline right now. So the first thing you need to understand are how many contractors are in your service area. And you want to talk about not just the ones who are registered, but what is the difference between how many contractors there is and how many are active on the BBB. There's so many mixed opinions about the BBB. Again, I always tell everyone this. I don't care. I'm not here to go back and forth about the BBB, but I do know that it is a demographic that a lot of homeowners are looking for. And if you're not part of the Better Business Bureau or your business is not listed, it could be a disadvantage. Okay. Next is you want to understand the home ownership rates. This is going to tell you if mailers is the best strategy for you, if door knocking is a great strategy for you, if you need to focus on more brand awareness. It will tell you what type of marketing is going to be the most effective in your area. The next one is the average age of homeowners. So this is extremely important to understand. What's crazy is maybe like 2 years ago when I used to do this report, the youngest I would see is 45. There are many, many average age of homeowners at like 35 years old now. And it blows my mind to see how the industry, how just the economics have shifted in the last 2 years, where more and more markets have a median age of 35. So we're no longer selling to 50-year-olds, we're selling to 30-year-olds, completely demographic a client. Next is, and this is going to tell you what is your pricing potential. And also based off of this, you can tailor what areas you want to target. So you can get very, very, very granular when you're running these two numbers, the median property value and the median household income. What I like to do is get the county average, but then I also want to get the zip code average, and that data will tell me where I can sell luxury white glove services and where I need to be more budget friendly and my value proposition be best for me to just stack my offers. Where the luxury one, I want to provide a white glove experience and charge more, make a better margin, and I also want to have different kind of sales reps for those two areas. And that's a common mistake that we make in this industry is use one strategy for our business and apply it across the board. And that's not how it works. If you want to maximize success, if you want to maximize your budgets, if you want to maximize your team, you have to be more strategic. So this data allows us to create strategies, not just based for our business as a whole, but also how we want to target specific areas. So here's an example on the cover sheet of what we're looking for. So in a 50-mile radius of DFW, there's 5,413 contractors. For BBB accredited, there's 1,907. In the Dallas metro area specifically, not the whole 50-mile radius, there's a 64.4% home ownership rate. The national average is 64%. So, two things that I can tell you now. Obviously, we all knew this prior to this conversation because we've been in the industry. There is a lot of contractors in Dallas, and the homeownership rate is compatible with the national average. Now, the owner-occupied households, there's 2.76 million. That's a lot of owner-occupied households in what's a small, relatively small area. The median property value is 299,000. The median household income is 83,398. It shocks me in a lot of rural towns. I'll run this report. The median property value will be only about 100,000 less, but sometimes the median household income will be split in half of this. So it's very important to understand where your area, what the median household income is, and the property value. The average age is 35 years old. And another one, the actual common employers are retail, healthcare. We do get more granular with the biggest companies and corporations in the area because one thing that you should be doing is running offers to those corporations on using your services for their employees. So, for example, if I wanted to, there's a huge corporation based in my area, I would offer free roof maintenance on the commercial building. As an example, if I wanted to target all of their employees and say, hey, we're gonna do your commercial roof maintenance for free. Obviously, this also is an entryway for you to get a replacement later on down the road. But also it will be an opportunity for you to market to all the people who work in that building. So we create this report for all of the 411 attendees. And this is just like some of the basic things that we're doing, that we're covering, but that's just kind of like an overview of the things that you should know. One thing that we want to offer you guys as for the month of December is we're going to be sending you free gifts and trainings all of 2025. So if you want to do me a favor really quick and you can scan this QR code, not only will you be able to get access to this recording, I'm also going to send you more marketing success tools, ebooks, video lessons. We're going to just be creating a lot of different guides. So you can scan this QR code or use the link. And while we do that, I'm just going to take a minute here and look at. Oh my God, I have to read this funny one. I'm a roofer. I don't have time to research unless it was how to break the law. LOL. Oh my goodness. Will do, David. Okay, all right. Sorry, guys. There's a couple side conversations here. All right, awesome. So let's dive into my favorite conversation. I can talk about this all day. I can talk about company structure, hierarchy, org charts, you name it. I've dealt with anything from EOS structures to roofers just brainstorming and creating their own thing, to people using matrix structures, which is commonly found in tech. Like literally everything you can think of, I've dealt with. And I haven't just dealt with it one time, I've dealt with it literally hundreds of times of trying to resolve these problems, because there's always a gap from the information we learn and how we actually implemented it. So, what I've done in all of my Business 411 curriculums, particularly this class, is everything that I teach, I also help you guys implement through the manuals and through your processes. So, there's not a huge disconnect or a huge gap. But I want you guys to think about this first. What is a process? A process is a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. Okay. So this is a process, is a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. What's wild is the word implementation is the process of putting a decision or plan into effect, which is AKA execution. So, process is the series of actions that we're going to need to achieve the result, but it's nothing without implementation, which is actually where we execute on things. And most importantly, process implementation. It's not a one and done thing. And again, I'm always very realistic with all of the curriculums, with all of our content. There is no magic wand that you're going to wave around. But what I can provide you guys with is the structure and processes necessary to shorten the curve that you're going to need to develop, and also teach you some key planning strategies. But process implementation is ongoing. So, this refers to the strategic approach to helping an organization adopt new procedures. Businesses implement new processes for different reasons, including streamlining tasks, promoting efficiency, reducing errors, or driving business growth. So it's not one and done, and there's a multiple of reasons why you should create a new process. My favorite one is to streamline things and promote efficiency. I love also process planning for errors and just overall driving business growth. But there's a separate formula I have on a different class, which is the business growth formula. And it shows that operations efficiency on average multiplies the business by 11%. So the where you're at right now, if you're growing over, let's say, 20% a year. Without streamlining your operations, you could be growing at 30% a year if you streamlined your operations. And this is just a basic statistic taken from the average company who goes through some type of revamp or process structure. Not just specific to roofing, but in general. Businesses who streamline their operations will see an 11% increase. So I want to provide you some context on the types of structures. And most importantly, I know a lot of you are in different parts of your business. So I want to give you what might apply to you and kind of what's next. So forecasting as well. So, if you're here, a simple structure, which means you're doing everything yourself, drop a comment and there's one thing I'm gonna tell you is I feel your pain. Like I had to get out of this seat as quickly as possible. If you've been in this seat for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years, I am gonna pray for you. It is such a like very, very, very difficult business model. You're self-employed essentially. You're doing everything yourself. This is very hard. It's not scalable. It's mentally draining, and it doesn't leave you the opportunity to grow as an individual or as a business. And this is why I only lasted personally 3 months in this seat before I said I need to hire people or I'm gonna lose my mind. So for those of you who have been doing this a long time, I kudos to you. I want to help you get out of this situation as quickly as possible. Now, the next structure is called a functional structure. You may be in the process of trying to build this out. You might have some areas more built out. You might have some seats missing. So we're just going to talk about the functional structure, which is the foundation of this entire process that I've designed. I do have higher versions of it, but a functional structure will help a company operate up to at least two locations, up to at least 20 to honestly 20 to 30 million a year. So there, when you hit $10 million a year, you don't need to go out and hire a whole bunch of new people. When you hit $15 million a year, you don't need to go on a crazy hiring campaign. There is a way to scale where you maintain profitability. A huge problem that we see is where a company starts to grow wide too soon and their overall gross and net profit drops because of their overhead. So what we want to build is a profitable business that goes deep into the services and areas that we need with strong supporting roles instead of a bunch of top level wide organization. And then once you get to a certain point where you're operating different branches and you need a main headquarter, or let's say you're someone who has very big divisions of your business, such as you're doing new construction, and you're doing roofing, retail, and insurance, you might be someone who needs a little bit more of a multi-divisional structure where people are working in specialized divisions where it could be new construction versus roof replacements. Which are two different divisions and have two different types of clients. So the biggest time when you would switch from a functional to multi-divisional is when something like this is happening. If you're using EOS or any other kind of program for hierarchy and structure, one thing that I want you to keep in mind, there's so many roles in a business that you need that you should not hire right off the bat. That you're going to have a lot of points where people are wearing multiple hats. So the mistake that we make in this industry specifically is we go from having no one into the seat to now we want to place multiple people in this area and build this out without having the profitability and net revenue to be able to invest into that. So there's a whole different formula that we use for being able to invest, budget, hire, and retain. So this is not something that should happen overnight. And scaling your business takes work, planning, strategy, and execution. Otherwise, this is why you've seen some of the most successful companies fail, is they didn't plan properly and they overspent. So if you're someone who wants to grow strategically and not just throw money at the problem, I highly suggest thinking about how a functional structure is going to benefit you. And when you're ready to switch, I have a specific class that focus on this type of structure, which is what I taught last week or the week before, which is a multi-divisional. If you do not have a large specialized division, you're going to be fine with a functional structure. There's different ways to structure a functional structure depending on how your business operates, whether it's insurance, whether you're doing retail, whether you have roofing, siding, windows, gutters in this business model at a small scale. It is there's a lot of possibilities and it doesn't take adding a ton of overhead. That's my goal for you guys, is how can I help you be more strategic and more efficient from an operations perspective. And last but not least, this is the fourth most common business structure and it's called a matrix structure. Okay. So matrix structure specifically, you have all of the individuals are cross-trained. All right. So, Philip, typically at the multi-division structure, I don't want to say it just based off of revenue because it could be if you have, like what I was saying, new construction versus retail. But if you're just doing regular roof replacements, the marker that I would use is once you're serving more than two service areas, because you're going to need to expand your team. And it's impossible to have a team of 5 covering a 3-hour radius with an operation, sales, production, and you'd have to have a different one. So what volume do you think you need to be? That was his question. I apologize. His question was, what volume do you think you need to be for the multi-divisional one? So, the matrix structure specifically, this is one that you see more common in firms like in groups like private equity, where there's a bunch of different people running the main headquarters structure. And then what you might see is the territories are running on a multi-divisional structure. If you're not a huge corporation, you have no business even cross training all employees with all different roles. It's just something that isn't necessary. My business actually used to operate on a matrix structure, and over the last year, I've changed it to a multi-divisional structure because it was a better fit margin wise. That's one of the reasons I even pivoted from matrix to multi-divisional. And this year for 2025, we're focused on doubling down and creating that multi-divisional structure for our business. But I already passed a certain bandwidth. Um, do you know the overhead percent difference between the structures? It's more important. The only way to calculate that would be if I knew the team members, the gross profit, and the net profit of a business. Once I know those numbers, I can create the operational efficiency formula for an individualized business. But those are things that I teach you how to do depending on what class you attend, because it's more important. As a consultant, I never wanted to be my client only could get these answers if they asked me. I wanted them to be able to get the skill to develop that at any point. But the class I taught last week was more formula based. And this one, there's some formulas that I share in this, but it's more about implementing structure and process. So, and I'm gonna give you some gross profit estimates for the functional structure. Typically, you're gonna be at least 35 to 45% if you follow the way that we've designed this. If you go out and you hire a bunch of people, or you do not structure your sales reps compensation properly, if you do a model like 10-50-50 split, without factoring in proper overhead, these are things that will throw off all of my formulas. So it's all meant to operate within a way you'll be able to get at least 35 to 45% gross profit. If you're not there and you think that's too high, or maybe you're someone who's has that limiting belief where you shouldn't be making more than 45%, I have some clients that are doing 60% gross profit, like, and they're doing a great job on their replacements. They're providing a white glove sales experience, and they're tweaking their services to that higher ticket clientele. So it just depends on your business model and where you want to be, and that's where you need to price yourself at. So first of all, yeah, thank you, Eric. So even we have one of those contractors here today, 60 to 70% gross profit always. I love that. I have so many clients that are at that mark, and their business has way more ability to invest into their structure, to invest into their processes, and they're not having to nickel and dime everything. So some of the things that we want to talk about is the hierarchy of the business, the different departments that you'll have, and how to establish leadership. That's what we talk about in the class, the full version. Just because of the purpose of time, today we're going to just focus on the hierarchy. So there's a couple of slides. Don't worry, this is not just the only model, but this is the top of model A, where you would have the CEO and a manager in each of these areas. Now you might be like, well, Liz, I still can't afford this management level. I can't afford to bring on sales, office manager, production manager. And that's okay, because you don't need to bring those people in right away. It's just where you want to build the organization to. And that seat needs to exist at some capacity. So, for example, if you're a CEO, and your strength is selling, you might act as the sales manager for a period of time. Even myself, this is a seat that I've filled. And then you might have decided to invest your resources into having someone support you in operations and installation. A way that I've seen this role structured is you could have an operations manager who works with a production assistant, which is lower paying than a production manager. And that office manager might have an admin assistant and then the production assistant, and they oversee both. Or you, as the owner, might be managing more of the production side, and you have someone helping you with sales. You might have a sales reps without any management. So it's important to think about A, your skills as the business owner, B, your actual budget to build out the different positions, and C, the amount of time you want to work per week. This is how you should create your entire business. If you don't care to work 60 hours a week and that makes you happy, fine. You can probably do a couple of different roles within that time period. The only thing is if you're wearing all of the hats right now and you're not willing to give them up, or you're wearing too many hats or more than what you want to wear, it means that there's something that you need to document and set great expectations for to be able to bring someone else on. What I don't recommend is hiring without knowing where are the issues in that department. I've seen this happen and I've made this mistake in the beginning myself, hiring people with problems in a department without identifying those problems and solving them. If you do not fix the problems and you bring someone else, you're going to create a bigger mess for yourself, and that person's going to quit or you're going to fire them and you're going to be left with a bigger mess. So the proper thing to do, identify the issues in an area of the business, fix them, then hire with a budget and knowing your gross profit and net profit ahead of time, what that will be after you have the person on. So on the installation side, there's a couple of different business models that I've seen work. This one is just model A. I'm going to go through model B, but I have about 10 different hierarchy charts that I would recommend based off of the way your business operates. In this specific one, if it's very clear and evident that there's a higher emphasis on building out sales with different roles, the reason why we have canvasser, junior sales, senior sales, team lead, and sales manager is a sales manager should never sell. A team lead is the field trainer. The sales manager focuses on high level hiring, recruiting, and scaling sales team. A team lead handles field training and gets overrides on junior sales and canvassers. A senior sales rep acts independently and is fully trained. A junior sales rep is in training and is being overseen by the team lead. And a canvasser can earn their way to become a sales rep after they've knocked on X amount of doors and gotten X amount of jobs. So there's a way where people can progress. Another way I recommend when I would recommend implementing this type of business model is, let's say you have 3 sales reps that you don't want to lose, but you've realized you need to change your sales compensation structure. What I would do is I would change those sales reps to senior sales reps and bring in a different recruiting model for junior sales rep and change their compensation. You could also change their title to something else entirely and make a different scale. So times where I would use that if my focus is on building more of a sales organization or if I'm changing my compensation models. Operations, this is a very slim operations. Sorry, guys, I'm a little hot. Operations is office manager and admin assistant. This is a small organization. This is not a huge organization, so they don't need a ton of overhead. I would recommend this amount of operations and production side from that, $5 to $10 million range. You should be fine with some key players on both of those departments. Now, if you want to talk about a big company and you have larger overhead and what you need to build out, if you're past, let's say, 10 to $15 million a year, you might want to add, or you might decide to prioritize some of these roles on a smaller scale. Again, hundreds of companies, and I've seen this done successfully hundreds of different ways. If there's someone out there telling you there's only one way to build a roofing company, they've lost their mind, because all I've seen it done is 100 different ways, and they all work in some way, shape, or form. The only thing that will change is the profitability of the business and the efficiency and what the business owner is willing to do. Okay. But taking those parameters into mind, if you're looking to build a larger organization or you already might have some of these roles, you might have a production manager. In this case, the title is a director because they're managing multiple branches. And the production assistant manages a service area or trade. So this can be used to A, manage a service area, or B, manages a large location. They have site supervisors or project managers, whatever floats your boat, and a field tech or repair tech. And now some people, I know Eric specifically on this call, has their crews as W-2 within the installation side, which is a way that I've seen it work as well. There's no right way and there's no wrong way. It's just what aligns with where you want to be financially and time-wise with your business. At this point, you would need customer service, marketing director, bookkeeper. And this specific business that I'm showing you guys, this is a 25 million a year roofing company who was trying to grow to 35. This is their exact business model. They had a sales director, a sales manager, a sales rep, and someone who did business development for their commercial side. At each one of their branches, they wanted to produce $5 million a year. Okay. So $5 million revenue target per year. That meant that each service area, this also applies to you if you have multiple service areas. I would set up a target per service area to have better tracking and management of my finances. So I would separate my finances by zip code even to understand revenue wise. For example, when I'm covering 10 different types of contractors I'm providing education for, part of what I would like to see on all of my sheets is what did I make in roofing, what did I make in siding, what did I make in gutters, what did I make in windows. And I would want to know that per zip code. Okay, just to give you an idea. And then the average ticket is 20,000, which means I'm doing 4 to 5 roofs per week. In that small service area, I would like to have these positions over, let's say, a 2-year period built out. So this is just growing in phases. All right. Remember, this is just an overview. I spend 3 days on this content. My next class is in January 15th through the 17th. I'm still going to keep going. I have a lot more to cover with you guys today. But if you're not going to stay into the end and you're interested in this class, Kelly's going to drop the link below. And I highly recommend you go in and book an appointment to actually attend this class. So January 15th through the 17th, be there and you'll have a promotion for this class specifically based off of this webinar. So this is just an overview of what we cover in the overall company structure. We talked a lot about profitability. That's like my main word there, and how to actually create that structure you guys need. So it's 3 days. It includes a networking, and I always bring in guest speakers. You're going to be able to go through things with people, and we'll continue to go from there. The pre-sale, and again, this is just if you don't have time to stay till the end. If you do have time for another 45 more minutes at least, stay, because I'm going to get into the process portion now. But for those of you who might have to leave early, this is the special promotion. It's 25% off. It's $3,749. David, great question. The person who's going to be teaching this class is my coaching partner, Corey Combs. He runs a $25 million a year business here in Florida. He works in an insurance market and does fully retail. He actually became my client because I used to consult for his roofing company. And he's taught the sales class for retail multiple times for me. Now he's going to be teaching this one. If I don't have the baby yet, I'll be there. I just probably won't be on my feet because I'll be like 38 weeks. But we have a lot of different people who are going to come in. Corey Combs is going to be the main presenter. And then I have Jay Haynes. I think they're doing about $50 to $60 million a year. And he's going to be teaching production and the insurance. I'm sorry, he's gonna be teaching insurance and solar. So that's what his program is specifically. My previous consulting program, Daryl, was about 15 to $20,000. That's why I started doing the group classes because it's just a more affordable solution for everyone. When I come back from maternity leave, I'm going to be focused on building out more classes. But every so often, I still do take on a one-on-one project. So if that's something that you're willing to put into your 2025 budget, we can talk about that. Otherwise, your best bet is doing this class. So the class is 3,749. It's the best information you're gonna get. And again, I've been in this industry for a long time. So I feel I'm getting old finally. Doing this, I'm going into my 10th year. So I started in 2015, going to 2025. Um, I'm still 18 though. We're gonna talk about customer service next. Alrighty, so before we dive into the process, we're just going to do a quick overview on this customer service area. So here's some basic stats that I want to share with you. 68% of consumers say they are willing to pay more for products and services from a brand known to offer good customer service experiences. I also want you guys to take a look at what Eric's saying. He's still doing 60 to 70% gross profit and he has W-2 employees. For some reason, there's this misconception that W-2 means you make less money. It only makes less money if you didn't create your formulas correctly and you're probably not compensating people the best way possible. So W-2, whether it's crews or sales reps, it doesn't mean you make less money. It just means you have to structure things properly and differently. And in his area specifically, he has to schedule to classify the crews differently. In the state of Minnesota, for those of you who are on this call from Minnesota, there's a huge shift going on with the Department of Labor, and a lot of companies are being forced to convert their sales reps from 1099 to W-2. The biggest reason being is just the Department of Labor. They're now offering the whistleblower fee. I think it begins at like 30,000 for misclassified employees, not counting whatever amount of money you're gonna have to pay in fines. So it is a whole different ball game now. Things are going to be changing, especially on 1099 and subcontractor classifications. Once the states start to see this work in certain areas and how much money is being made by, looking at business owners and just saying like who is supposed to be W-2 versus 1099, the government is going to make a ton of money, Department of Labor, and is going to come in and change the requirements in multiple states. So I just want to throw that in there. This is a change that's happening actively. And some areas, I even had a client come into one of my classes who was in the state of Colorado who had $100,000 fine from the Department of Labor for misclassified employees. So just to talk about that. After more than one bad experience, around 80% of consumers say they would rather do business with a competitor. So all it takes is you didn't answer your phone, you answered your phone in a rush. Maybe you're the person who's doing everything and you answered your phone while you're driving your truck and you're scribbling in your notepad. So one thing that we talk about when intaking people is the scripts that you have to use and how to properly intake and qualify a client. But the most important thing is to build rapport with our clients. So building rapport, a lot of us have heard this word in some way, shape, or form. I just like to clarify the definition of these words so that we truly understand what we're talking about. Ideally, what we're doing is gaining a person's trust. That's what rapport is all about. By showing concern for their needs and communicating well. That's what building rapport is all about. It's not about a sales tactic to see how we can convince people with all of this high pressure sales. When you build rapport with someone and you're actually showing concern for their needs and communicating with them well, there's no pressure to create the sale because it's an automatic. They know that you're providing value to them. So this is just a basic customer service tip that I recommend to everyone. I even recommend using this for your spouse, on your customers, on your team members, like any type of any type of conversation that you want to handle. This is my formula that I use now for everything, but it's called the Starbucks latte method. The L stands for listen. Here's a big one that, even me, I'm definitely was not the best listener, but listen to understand the issue being presented to you, acknowledge, show the customer that you understand their grievance by verbally confirming it. The T is for thank them for letting you know about the issue. Take action. What are you going to do to resolve it? Take this as an opportunity to turn a customer's bad experience into a positive one. And last but not least is encourage. End on a high note and build loyalty by encouraging the customer to reach out if there's any questions or concerns. And I recommend use this on your husband and wife. If they're ever upset, just latte them. And it'll also resolve that. Um, we have a lot of different scripts in the 411 class. The most important part is we believe is to have the standards set up for every area of your business. So we're gonna dive into what everybody likes to talk about. Who here is loves to talk about sales? Give me a thumbs up or a little fire emoji, because I know that's all of you. If I only did stuff on sales, way more people would show up, but I'm proud of all of you guys showing up here for operations too. Marcus fire. Bram. I know, like everyone wants to talk about sales. I love to talk about sales too. Throwing your hands up. All right, awesome. So, I'm gonna cover, this is an overview of basically what we've organized the sales process as. The first part, and this is a misconception, a sales process doesn't start just when the sales rep gets to the appointment. If the lead is calling in, your sales process begins the moment you get that lead. So I want to address this misconception. Sales begins from the moment you get a new lead, not from the moment you get to an appointment. And when you think about this, it should really help you evaluate if your phone process is currently set up to maximize sales. So, intake, qualifying that appointment, assigning which rep is going to go in, or scheduling the appointment. Depending on the business model, sometimes the rep gets assigned first and then the appointment is scheduled, and sometimes it's flip. It doesn't matter. There's not a right or a wrong way with that. It's just some companies schedule the appointment and then assign the rep, and some do it the other way. Next is the pre-call. Then we go into inspection, estimating, presenting, providing them options, and going into the contract. During that, we do have trial close, objection handling. That's all part of the presentation process. But the rest of it is all, just an overview of what we're going to be getting into. So the sales process begins from the moment the admin answers the phone. There's three main objectives that they have for them to execute on. That is to make sure that they're scheduling only qualified appointments and inputting all the correct data into the CRM. Just a tip that I recommend when you're scheduling an appointment for sales is to already have a roof measurement ready for them, to maybe go ahead and that admin person is looking up the address on Google Earth when they're answering the phone. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. And then the sales rep's objective, the most important one, is to close. The outcome of the sales process should conclude in a sale. But we most importantly want to make sure that we're qualifying and educating the right people to get that close. So for the admin, things that we have to really understand and answer is, what is the project, and is that something we're able to do within our service area? Is this the right kind of project for our team? What is the soonest they're available, and who needs to be present? That's a key question right there. Who needs to be present? And is this going to be assigned to the correct rep? Okay. Next is scheduling the appointment by project type. The sales rep, and again, the pre-call we're gonna get into it a little bit more, but the pre-call is something that we believe helps the be that kind of icebreaker for the sales rep. So they're not just going in, never knowing this person, never having spoken to them. There's already a call being made to that property owner, and they're doing some type of conversation and warming up that lead. So, is the homeowner present? What is the issue and how is it impacting them? And what is their sense of urgency? The inspection, what information do we need to gather on this property client and what's their need? How can we package this to feed or develop the sense of urgency? The estimate is what is the project completion going to cost? The presentation, what are we showing the homeowner that is going to set us apart from every other roofer in the area? The options, what is best for the homeowner based on their needs, and last but not least is contract. Are all the details covered as it pertains to a specific project, and what objections do I need to overcome to close the deal? All right. So here's for all the people here who are in sales but do not follow up. 60% of customers say no 4 times before saying yes. In fact, just based off statistics, at least 60% of you on this call today have probably been on a call with my team, probably been seeing my content for a long time, yet have not made a purchase. That is just pure statistics. 48% of salespeople never even make a single follow-up attempt. So imagine, for those of you who follow up 1 time or never, how much money do you have right now sitting in estimates not sold? A lot of times we think more leads will solve this problem, leads will solve this problem. A lot of times it's that you don't have a good follow-up process and you have a lot of estimates or leads that just were never followed up with properly to begin with. Okay. So 80% of sales require at least 5 follow-up calls. Mind blowing. However, 44% of salespeople give up after 1 follow-up call. When I used to be in actively doing sales, I used to follow up with people until they told me not to call them anymore. That is the only way I would stop following up. When the person told me, don't call me anymore, I'm going to call them forever until they buy or tell me not to call them. There wasn't like, oh, only follow up for the first 30 days. I don't get that mentality. I worked so hard, especially on someone I've already proposed my services to. Now, with my salespeople, this is something I even have to like struggle to implement with them is the amount of follow-up they should be doing. Because it's easy to go after that new lead, that low-hanging fruit, than to nurture your leads and contacts properly, right? That's just the name of the game. But the way that I see it is follow up until they either sign up or tell you not to call them. That's the only way. Unless you unsubscribe from my texts and my marketing campaigns, I will email you guys forever. So, there's a lot of different sales approaches out there. We've heard a lot about like the disc model and all the different reasons how people buy, but what we use as a practical application that's easy for anyone to understand and apply is why people buy. So it's more of the psychology of why anyone, regardless of their personality, job occupation, etc., why they buy. The first is fear of loss. That FOMO is real. And all of us here today want, if FOMO is applied in the right setting for us, we will sign up for something. The second is the experience that we're getting from it. The third is the opportunity cost. This is one that I really, really, really like, the opportunity cost. And then 4 is compare and contrast. So here's a couple of our golden rules. And remember, I'm just overviewing a lot of this content with you guys. The class, we would be spending an entire day on sales. So our golden rule, first of all, a sales process is just that, a process. You can't shortcut and expect to get the full results. A sales process is a path to a logical conclusion for your prospect, not a tactic. And a sales presentation is a tool. If you do not properly use that tool, it will not produce the results you're looking for. Selling is less about selling and more about listening to see what your prospect values. Well-crafted questions are the key to unlocking what that prospect values. And I tell this to my sales reps. If you've ever been on a sales call with anyone from my team, what I tell them is that they should be talking 10% of the time. Yet every time I hear them, they're talking more than 10%. So that's something even with my team sales training. I'm like, guys, if the person's not able to talk, they can't tell you what they want from you. So this is even something that even after years of being on my team, I still have to reiterate all the time, because you should let your client speak more than you should be talking. If we were on a sales call, I would let you guys be talking. Obviously, we're on a presentation, so you guys gotta listen to me. So another one is, now with the internet, people are information rich. Your job at this point in time is not to provide information. It's more important to provide context to the information. So a lot of times people have so much information, so many misconceptions, or so many ideas already as it goes. And so our goal is just to provide more context to that. Less is more, less talking, more listening. And in our sales process specifically, objections are roadblocks. Remove the roadblocks before you get the objection. Your ability, oh, this is a key, major key alert. Your ability to ask for the business is directly proportional to the work you did in order to earn it. Don't be an asshole. So an asshole is someone who provides zero value and just wants to go in and get the deal. So, as a sales rep, this is the objectives that we have for them. At this point in the process, as the sales rep, you will now take ownership of the client choosing us as their contractor of choice. And we don't refer to the sales process for the sales rep as sales, we refer to it as closing process. Because sales reps will always say, oh, well, that appointment went so well, but did you close it? Because this is supposed to be a closing process, okay? The next one's to build a lifelong relationship with our clients. Just because they're only going to get their roof done once in the next maybe 15, 20 years on this primary home doesn't mean they won't ever move and need your service again. Doesn't mean they don't have relationships that you can leverage, people that they can refer to you, giving you a review. So it's building a lifelong relationship. The third is to raise the local market perception of contractors by maintaining integrity, service, and value while representing the company in the field. And that's an ethical and moral standard that we believe in. Providing detailed inspection reports with accurate and labeled photos that can be reviewed by all team members to understand the full scope, and then focusing on asking the potential client the right questions and understanding how to frame the conversation based on their answers. Kelly, can you have someone from our team bring me water, please? The next objective is to remove the roadblocks/objections during the sales process by emphasizing, number one, explore their goals and objectives. For example, you don't want to provide a high ticket service to someone who told you that they're just getting this project done to be able to sell the property, right? So we may want to adjust what we're proposing and the solutions we're providing if we understand what they're trying to get out of this experience. However, we do want to uncover whatever gaps exist in their knowledge. Just some basic questions during the process. Have you ever done a project like this before? If they say yes, what criteria did you use to choose your contractor, and did you have a good experience? If they have not, thank you, Nick. Appreciate you. If they have not, what criteria are you going to use to choose a contractor so that you can have a good experience? And then here's a big one, uncovering their fears. What are your biggest fears as it relates to this project? This question gives us insight as to how they view this project. Last but not least, price being equal. What are you looking for in the contractor you hire? Most people usually respond to someone who can do a good job or something generic. This is a great opportunity for you guys to actually be able to help them define what does success mean to them? So what does a successful project look like to you? And so this is just an overview of a couple of the objectives that we have. Talking about the sales presentation specifically, who here has an amazing sales presentation and who here is like, I need to get a great sales presentation and that's what I'm going to do for 2025? Does your sales presentation look like this? So, visual presentation, a key component of the sales presentation is the way in which the information is presented. So we're going to talk about a couple of very important statistics. First of all, the brain processes visuals 60,000 times faster than text. Also, one thing that's really hard, for example, imagine if all the information I just gave you, I was telling it to you without a presentation. You would be like freaking lost and left and like probably just not even part of this webinar anymore. So think about how do your customers feel and how overwhelmed are they sometimes during your sales presentation? 30% remember. So I'm sorry, people are 30% more likely to believe and remember information presented with visuals. Mind blowing. More educated customers lead to less issues during the production process and a greater customer experience. And here's my favorite one. 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for a better customer experience. So here's some of the materials that we create for sales. Again, in the 411 roofing class, this is just an overview. If you see here, the SOP specifically is going to go through each process step by step. It goes through pre-call, inspection, estimate, all of that, the presentation process, the 7 steps that need to happen in order for there to be a successful presentation. So, January 15 and 17. All right. The pre-build process. The pre-build process is our handoff meeting, approval, material orders, scheduling the project, organizing all of our trades and crews, and also permitting. So that's just before the build process has even occurred. So what is a handoff meeting? This is when we get the team on board. The sales rep is responsible for that measurement report, having a good detailed proposal, having a good assessment with photos, videos, and the inspection checklist, and making sure all the information's into the CRM, having detailed and accurate contracts with all projects that were sold, turned into the production team in a timely manner. And this obviously depends on how much volume you're doing. We recommend if you have a big sales team, dividing it into morning and afternoon handoff meetings where it's just a time block period where production and sales is open to come into production and bring in all of their files. What I recommend is that sales reps need to have their files looked over by a manager before they're handed over to production. So some type of sales manager or senior sales, in order to help them get more training. You don't want production having to go through a file, seeing that it's halfway done and just wasted their time and having to give it back to the sales rep only for them to collect the missing information and then bring the file back again. Some of my clients actually do allow their sales rep to turn in incomplete files as long as it has the signature. But what they do is they charge the sales rep. And the sales rep will have to pay either a flat rate or a percentage of their commission for someone else to finish the file. So that way the customer is not receiving a bad experience, but the team is getting everything we need to build the job. So there is the business model where you make sure either the sales rep is going to bring in those files, and if they don't, having a 24-hour period where if they don't get it completed, then the company takes it over for an X amount of dollars. And so that's one option. I would also penalize sales reps for bringing in incomplete job files. it's their job. Their job is to properly document and make sure all the contracts are signed. It's not rocket science. And honestly, if there's any reason why they're giving me excuses on why they didn't do their contract, then I would just tell them, okay, if you don't want to do it, this is how much I'm going to charge you, and someone else is going to do it. What the production biggest responsibility is to ensure they understand the project and that we feel comfortable to build it as it is currently sold. So that means from the moment that production takes this job on, they're now accepting that, hey, sales did a good job and this file is complete. So if the file is not production ready, they should not be accepting this file because they are now responsible for ensuring that it is profitable. In a lot of business models, the production manager gets paid a percentage of the job's profitability as a bonus. In some of the clients that I work with. So if they're taking the liability, they're either going to get paid more or less depending on if they're doing a good job on the profitability. So they are now, working for the interest of the business as well, making sure that this business is not taking on any unnecessary risk. Another thing that I've seen that needs to be part of your contracts is that cancellation period. Adding a clause where it's only officially a contract once production has signed off on it, depending on of how much of an issue production is for you, and how you're struggling with it. So what this allows just more oversight, and the sales reps, for example, if you have a bunch of sales reps, and they don't have someone managing them, and you're not running a tight ship, you're going to have production issues. There's no way to avoid it. So either you pay the price to train your sales reps properly and they do your job, or you pay the consequence, which and the price of them not being trained properly. Either way, there's going to be consequences. So what we created is a checklist for everything that actually I've gone through so far. We have checklists for in the SOP, except if I went through all of it, it would take 3 days to do this webinar. But basically, when the sales rep submits to the sales manager, there's a couple of things that we want to have in place already. And then, so it's a couple of slides here, and you can take a photo of these if you'd like. One of the ones that are very important is having a secondary contact for build day. So if the homeowner's not available, someone that they authorize to make decisions on change orders or any emergency type of situation. And then another thing that we haven't seen a lot that we want to see a lot of is upselling. So upselling any additional trades that you also provide. And so that's the sales rep to the sales manager. Once you get into the handoff meeting, this is the meeting structure. So you're going to review the photos, the work scope, and the estimate to make sure they match. All photos must be annotated for crews and production staff. Review any special instructions and job specifications. Compare the measurement report with the estimate to check for accuracy prior to ordering materials. If every, let's say 1 to 2 jobs a week are 1 to 2 squares off, I did the math, and one of my clients was losing, I think it was $250,000 in net profit a year from them just being off on measurements and production 1 to 2 squares on the measurement report. Review full scope of work and the contract submitted by sales for these 3 points: accurate, viable, and prepared for production. If you move this job to approval, that means the file is accepted by the production department as an accurate and viable job. It is crucial to the success of the organization to communicate if a file is not production ready. So again, this is just a preview. I could spend 3 days talking about this, and I have done that. So we have project scheduling and the build process. Again, you're gonna want to go to that January class. The build process, depending on the type of job, it may require an on-site meeting. You're gonna have homeowner communication, change orders, site check, progress check-in, and cleanup. The production manager is responsible for troubleshooting any major issues and communicating with the project manager as necessary throughout the build process. And they guide the team based off of the end of day report. An end of day report is something for production where if you have multiple jobs in progress, depending on your build process, here in Florida, it could take about a month to build a job. So there might be different stages. We have different inspections required by law, a dry-in inspection and sheathing inspection and so on. And so in order to be able to go through all that process, very few jobs are built the same day, depending on the size of the roof. So end of day report is necessary. A project manager is required for just all overall in progress check-in throughout the build process and the end of day progress report on all builds in progress. The crew is responsible for communicating any material shortages or overages, and complete the build process per local building codes and manufacturer guidelines. That's the high view. When we get very granular, one of the things that we do is we log how often the crew is over or under per build, to have a better understanding of how our material is being managed. And then also the project manager. I have a client right now who has two different crews and two project managers, and they're always either one of them is always off or under significantly. So that indicates that there's an issue with either the crew or whoever's ordering the material. So this is why it's important to just do checks on every single job, and make sure that you're getting forms filled out for material that's being ordered. If your project manager is running to Home Depot 2 times to 3 times per day for one specific job, that means that there's something off in your material ordering formula or something's off with your crew. If you're building similar types of roofs every single day and there's still multiple Home Depot runs, that's a huge inefficiency sign. That's a problem. So it's important to understand what's going on. And again, this is just an overview. We go very in depth in the class. So job site setup, we do have a checklist and the objectives for what happens when you're talking to the homeowner, and how to communicate with the homeowner. We do have the checklist. Some of the key points I do want to highlight here. One of them is provide the client with any information on change orders needed, making sure that you have that included in your contract ahead of time. So we have quite a bit more to go through. I know some of you might be having to get ready to head on out of here. But quality control, I'm just going to briefly overview some of the things that we really want to answer. Is there anything that needs to be done to make sure the property's owner's expectations are met per the scope of work? Was there anything damaged on the property that we need to be aware of? Two big questions that we want to make sure that we're actually answering in the quality control process. And again, if you want to take a photo of this checklist, I highly recommend it. And I also recommend surveying the homeowner. So if you're interested in getting to work on all of your processes this January, again, come to the class. We're going to go into an open Q&A now. Before we do that, if any of you wants to schedule a time to meet with our team about the class, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you guys the gutter guide as well. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm going to also walk through the SOP, and we're going to do an open Q&A. So remember, this class, we have the promotion, 25% off because of this webinar. And yeah, Kelly's going to comment that link. Nicole, what was the checklist? Which checklist? So really quick, I'm going to present to you the gutter guide. If you're interested in getting set up with this, it's $399. It comes with your logo, gutter systems, everything the homeowner needs to know. So it goes through the benefits of a strong gutter system. It would be your company colors, and your company logo on this. It goes through all the parts of a gutter system. So gutter apron, gutter guard, end cap, gutter drop, elbow, downspouts, splashback, literally everything. Um, This is on pre-order now, and it does come with your logo. Kelly, what's the price with the pre-order? These are the signs of damage when it's time to replace your gutters. Oh, wow. So the pre-order price is $299, so $100 off on the pre-order. How to choose the right style of gutters for your home. So, sorry, signs of damage, pooling water, cracker holes, sagging or pulling away, peeling paint or rust spots, overflow during rainstorms, rotting fascia or soffits. And then we want to give the customer how the gutter replacement process works, how they should choose the right gutter system for their property. This can be printed out and also attached to your estimates. Some of the most important frequently asked questions and how they should prepare for their gutter replacements, maintenance tips for their gutters, and all of this would come branded to your company. So just slide through it one more time for you guys. This is on pre-order for $299. That means you can order it before it's released for $100 off.
Hey
I think
guys,
it should
it's
go back to full price in about a week or two
yeah.
when we
Hey,
actually
Kelly
release
here.
it at
Can you
wide
hear me,
scale.
Liz?
Okay, so that's the gutter one, if you're looking for that. And then, all right, so we're gonna do an open Q&A. No, Kelly, cannot hear you.
You have your volume up?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I just wanted to show the gutter guide one more time. So this is something that's been
Participants can now
requested.
see your application. You have started screen share.
Well, so what's cool about this is that this is probably one of the top guides that have been requested. We have this for residential roofing, so basically everything homeowners need to know about their residential roofing system, which is great for roofing sales. We have the same thing for insurance, so when there's a storm, how, that whole process works in really easy terms from the homeowner to understand. And then this one was our most requested one, gutters, as like an upsell tool when they're doing the roof to be able to come in with a lot of really good content related to that. I also dropped the pre-order link. We're gonna have that pre-order going on for like another week or so. You guys are kind of, I think, the first people to see the full manual before we fully release the pre-orders. This is a little exclusive that we wanted to share with you. But this is a great tool. We'd love to see how you guys end up using it and your feedback. And Liz, I'll let you take it away from there.
Yep. So make sure if you want to get that for $100 off, you use that link that we commented in the chat. So, I wanted to make sure that we went through any specific questions that you had that were in alignment with the content that we just covered. I know you might have questions that are not necessarily about what we covered today. I do want to focus on whatever is specific to what we have covered today and going through types of questions that relate to the information that we just went through. So let's get into it. Who has any questions specifically? Um, and let's see what we
Philip
get.
Clancy to everyone. With Gutter Guide, how many booklets do you receive?
Kelly, how do I turn this off?
I don't know how you did that.
Has it been on this whole time?
No, no, it just started happening. But you want to answer Philip's question?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute you so it stops doing that. The gutter guide does not come with any prints. That's a digital file, and you can print either 10, 1,000, a million copies for all we care. You never have to pay for the guide itself again. Our minimum order is 500, but I recommend 1,000 just for being more price effective. And this is just with any of the manuals that you order from us. It doesn't come with included with printing. You do have to pay for printing separately. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. What questions do you guys have about the webinar? Or did I just do such a good job at answering all your questions? Everyone's business is fixed. Thanks, Liz. You did a great job. This was great. Great job. Thank you guys. On the classes, what topics are included? So first of all, we have quite a few different classes. So, the 411 roofing systems is the one that you should attend first. The reason is that it sets the foundation for all the rest of them. Like, for example, the sales class that I wrote is the expanded, more in-depth version that we go through for 2 days on how to grow your sales team and how to structure your sales department. But if you haven't taken the operations class, you would have to take it anyways, because it's just what ends up happening. Like, I promise you, a lot of people who go to sales class just end up coming back for the operations one anyways. So I highly just recommend, if you have any plans of growing your business at all in 2025, you need to attend that January class, because then you'll be happy you did. It is extremely important for you guys just to have a good foundation. Philip, this class is not for franchising. If you like to set up a franchise, that is a different class. That's actually the one that I taught recently, but I do not, that one is like a specific, I don't let anyone take it unless they've taken the first class, because I'm covering way more advanced curriculum than what I cover in that basic class. So I do have a class that's for franchising, but either way, if you want to take it, you have to take the January class, just because you'll be completely lost going into the into the franchising class without the basic one. Um, Jeff, how important is the right CRM to create a solid process? I try to avoid talking about CRMs on this class just because there's so many options out there, and they all lack in some way, shape, or form. If anybody wants to comment to Jeff the types of CRMs that they use and they feel comfortable giving a recommendation and talking about their CRM, please feel free to do so. But for the most part, in my opinion and in my profession, all CRMs lack something. So, we recommend Roof Art. They're a great company, but there's going to be something on it that's missing for you guys. And the same thing for any CRM that we talk about, there's always a hiccup. So I just prefer to let people recommend. Bram, thank you so much. I appreciate you. From a company that has the number one simple one structure, what are the next 10 moves you recommend to move to a structure to structure two, which is a functional business? Rosa, so it's a series of things. First of all, you have to figure out what's the vision for the business and where do you want to be, because that's going to tell you what type of structure you should set up. I would never set up a structure process without really understanding what kind of business I wanted to build and what was my end goal for that business specifically. So from there, once you have your vision and mission for that business, then I would go into creating the overall structure of how I want the business to grow on a hierarchy chart. And from there, I would go into separating out what are my processes. Another key point, doing some more market research on my business, figuring out how I want to hire throughout the next year, what type of compensation models I'm going to be using, having an accurate estimating formula, writing down your SOPs, or you can just come to the class and I'll teach you how to do all of that. The 15th to the 17th is the 411 roofing systems class, which is the most important one for anything that you want to do with us. Kelly, can you post the registration for the class in January? Dustin is asking for it. Paz, team members that can assist. So you get 2 seats included. Do not bring your sales reps to this class. It is not a sales rep class. It's for a business owner. If you bring your sales reps to the class and they learn how to start a business and they go start their own business, that is your own fault. It's a huge, I tell my sales reps say the same thing. This is not a sales rep class. There is a time and place for sales reps training. This class is not it. If you want your sales reps to know how to build a business, then by all means bring them in. Because that's what we're teaching. So it's up to you how you feel about that. Yeah, so estimating, it depends on where you're located. I do have an estimating formula that we use. Give me 1 second and I'll actually show you. While she's going through that, we can go through any questions that you might have, anyone else in here. If you use that link to check out the class, use the term webinar 25. Okay. So this is for retail side. This is just basic how I would estimate it. So if the roof is 25 squares, actually, let me go back one. Whoops, wrong. Okay, sorry. So I'm not gonna get into insurance estimating right now in this class. That's not what this is about, but well, I do cover overall just knowing your numbers. Specifically for this one, this is, let's say, again, just for the sake of math, I'm going to use a simple per square price. If a 25 square roof, you're charging 600 per square, the average price would be 15,000 with the commission payment of 1,800, right? Just easy numbers that I'm going to be using. Now these are the things I would have to add: digital waste measurement, sheathing and my wood bill, and material waste. And so here are the recommendations for how you should actually add waste, like what type of waste factor we recommend. But this is what it looks like when you estimate incorrectly versus correctly. So once you add in all the proper waste, you're talking about a difference of $4,400. So the sales reps only losing $532, which is not much off their commission, but the company could be losing $3,330 off of missed profitability, and that's the difference between a net profit of 7% and a net profit of 12%. So that's just a quick recap. Where for us that are blind, can we Zoom? Absolutely, David. So we do have our Zoom available. Can't wait to see you all at the January. Okay, that's okay. Is insurance a separate business model than retail? Is there's certain things about insurance that are different than retail. The biggest thing that I've been seeing is contractors who are doing insurance are having to add in retail, just because of the issues going on with the insurance process as of right now. So a lot of our clients, the way we suggest it is in the 411 class, you have the business model operates, and then you have the insurance process is a process within the business. So everything else is being done and all your bases are being covered. Insurance is just the way that you're getting paid out on that job, and it changes the communication process with the homeowner a little bit. Well, a lot, and there's more parties that you're dealing with, but overall you should still have a strong operation structure, which applies from the functional structure that we've discussed. Um, Philip says, do you ever cover customers that don't pay fully in classes? I would say that the biggest issue today with customers that don't pay, you're talking about the collections process. A lot of it has to do with the enforceability and viability of your contract. We do cover that, we do talk about it, and if you come to the class, you can even bring your contract, and I can give you any suggestions with Corey. But I would recommend having a local business attorney make sure that your contract is enforceable. And we do talk about collections specifically in this class. If you've done everything right, it should go smoothly. Obviously, sometimes you can do everything right and the homeowner still doesn't pay. Do you have stats that back having canvassers versus sales only? Jeff, I have both business models documented. I was just showing case studies, and in one case study, I had canvassers, and in another one, I didn't. I don't think that there's any stat out there that says you should only do this or you should only do that. I think in your area, it's based off of what are the regulations in your area for door-to-door sales. What is the market like? How do they respond? What type of customers are you targeting? What are the compensation models? And more importantly, what's your vision for the business? So only after I've answered all of those questions, then I would say this is a good comp model or this is not a good comp model for you. Rosa, we pay for a pretty big it's a program we've been paying for years that gives you data on any area that's very in-depth. I know that a lot of information you guys can find out on Google, but obviously there's just certain things that are you can only get with the reporting software that we use. I would be doing annual planning for my business. Yes, we do have a hiring guide for sales specifically. That is included in the sales class. But again, I'd recommend coming to the sales and structure class first. Alrighty. So go ahead and book with the appointment link. This will make it a lot easier for you to get on the phone with our sales team and figure out what it is that you want to do for your business and which of businesses 411 business 411 services you can use to and leverage now in 2025. But other than that, you guys let me know and I'm here to serve you. I really appreciate you guys spending this time with me. It is the most valuable thing that you could invest is 2 hours of your time. So I'm very appreciative. As far as our classes, they're listed on our website, but I would highly recommend going ahead and booking with a sales rep, and they can overview everything with you based off of the unique needs of your business, is what I would suggest. I do not have anything on suppliers right now that I've released. I do have like private consultation things that I've done, but no, I have not. Yeah, so yeah, we do have a guide to hire. We have an entire hiring and training protocol already designed, and you can check that out with one of the sales team members as well. There's a class specifically for it. It's called 411 Sales Systems, and that one's coming up in February. So yeah. So remember, if you want to get that 25% off, talk to the team, get that. If you want to go in and just order it yourself, you can use that link. And the code is webinar25 to get the 25% off. Employee handbooks, it depends on what you're covering. Some of it needs to be local to your state. I know if you're using ADP for your payroll, they'll help you create an overall employee handbook. There's a difference between employee training and employee handbook. So I would also just kind of differentiate what it is that you're looking for. The SOPs and the training manuals that we have will help with onboarding and training someone new. However, if you're looking for like paid holidays and things like that, I would go to, your payroll provider. The set the rules of the company, yeah, that's more what this book specifically does, the SOP. It goes through checklists, processes, it does include job descriptions and roles. You can edit the template that we are sharing with you guys and making for you. The book is already included in the class, and you get the printed copy during the class. Think about like college style classes. That's what it looks like. You have your binder, you have all of your content, things like that. If you're attending virtually, you can print it out ahead of time and go through that too. So I'm going to play a quick testimonial for you guys while we wrap this up. You can also go to Business 411 reviews on Google, and you'll see over 150 plus positive reviews from the class specifically.
Came
You
down
have
to
started
the
screen share.
SOP training in Florida, and I got to say it's one of the best investments our company's ever made. We've learned so much. Being able to meet the team here at Business 411 was amazing. Truly, people that are trying to do
Kelly
things the right way,
Hernandez to
they want to help
everyone,
you out with your
fire.
business, and they prioritize your foundation first. So we're super excited to head back to Pittsburgh, start working on getting our foundation and everything in a row, and take this thing to the moon.
It's truly a game changer. Being down there has been really great for us. It's going to take us to a whole other level. I don't think anybody in the country is going to be able to compete with us. So once we implement what we've got throughout the class and with Business 401, no one's going to be able to touch our company.
What's one key takeaway that you guys are really excited to implement as soon as you get back?
Mainly learning about keeping tasks and roles in certain departments and certain job descriptions. Right now, we're kind of a three-headed monster of who's doing what, but we're all kind of meshing into other people's responsibilities. By learning a little bit more about the most efficient way to structure your company and to distribute your tasks, I feel like there's going to be much more clarity and much more efficiency. And in doing that, you're able to make more money and not lose your mind as much. So I'm looking forward to being able to implement that.
For me, it really just comes down to filling our gaps. Like with the SOP, it just fills up the gaps that you're all wanting to fill within your company in order to take your company to the next level.
When you came here, what were you looking to learn and get out of this most, and did you exceed your expectations?
Yeah, I'm a money guy, so paying to come to this, I was a little bit nervous to what we were going to get. I would come back and spend 10 times as much to come learn what we learned this week. It's totally worth the investment in your time. I think I was more expecting to just kind of get a better feel for the SOP itself, but they went way more. They went above and beyond that. They brought in keynote speakers. They brought in people with expertise in the industry. So it's not just learning the SOP and learning how to implement it. It's going even further and giving you more knowledge, more things to think about, more things to talk about once you leave.
My expectations for coming here were very high. After doing a lot of research online, I kind of knew what we were getting ourselves into. But after coming here, Liz is awesome. The team is amazing, full of energy, positive people, and they've really exceeded my expectations, which doesn't really happen in life, especially with the current time. You would think that, they look better online than they do in person, but it's been a great experience.
And they threw a great cocktail party.
Yeah. Cool. So has anyone at any event you've ever gone to given you a custom report of the data of your area when you guys did that?
No, the custom report and market analysis was awesome. Again, just one of those things that they went above and beyond on. We knew that was going to happen from our account manager, Nick, but wasn't really sure how in depth it was going to be. But you could tell they definitely took a lot of time and
Your
cared
screen
enough
sharing
to
is
do that
paused.
for you.
You
And
are
that's
screen
something that,
sharing.
really comes down to effort and trying to do the right thing. So we really do appreciate them doing that.
In this industry, it's just extremely uncommon to have any data. Data is extremely important to growing your
Kelly
business.
Hernandez
And
to
without
me,
data, you can't
just a
make.
few.
And the Business 401 is able to customize the report for each contractor is huge in helping them realize, their market, their area, and how they're going to improve their business and what is the capabilities of their business within their area. It's essential. So to have that type of feedback just coming to the class is super customized to the contractor, and really is going to help them grow.
So what event are you guys coming to next month? What's on the books? What do you guys plan?
I'll come to all of them if we can, but definitely want to learn more about the 2.0. We're
So this client ended up coming to all of our classes for the rest of the year. We even went ahead and rebranded them. So like the logo, everything you see there on their beginning of the year, this year, January 2024. But it's completely changed their logo, their business. They just came and attended the 2.0 class, which they spoke about in that class. So one more thing, I'm going to give you guys a quick look at the SOP.
Participants can now see your application. You have started screen share. You are screen sharing.
I don't know why this thing is still doing that. But this is what's in the SOP. It's almost 200 pages of content. So it goes through worksheets specifically for the vision and mission area. During the class, I go through each one of these pages with you. Obviously, Corey's going to be going through these, but again, you're tabbing, highlighting, and filling everything out. And then we go more in depth on all of the content that you saw here today, on the company structure. Again, today was just a brief overview. All of this is the actual content that we're going to be covering. It goes through the departments, which is something we did not talk about on today's class just for the sake of time. It goes through each department individually, the objectives, the workflows for operations, sales, and production specifically, the team members necessary, and the leadership structure. So it goes from CEO, sales manager, production manager, every area of your business, who's leading the company, who's leading sales, who's leading ops, who's leading installation. And then we go through how to implement this manual. Then it goes into how the book is written. So I make sure to teach you my planning process in case you have to understand it. The book is divided on the process portion into 4 chapters: sell, build, collect, retain. And it goes through step by step each area. The admission does cover 2 attendees in person, and you can also stream it virtually. Again, if you want to stream it virtually to your office and you want everyone to look at it, cool. But I am teaching this content is to start a business and run a business. So I would only have my general manager or operations manager, if that. I definitely wouldn't have sales reps and other things. But every single thing that we overviewed today, there is in-depth checklists, in-depth objectives, like literally every page. If you hire someone new, you'll have everything they need to do their job. We go further into our scripts, appointment setting, sales, all the whole process for it, pre-call, inspection, and estimating, and even the presentation. The whole entire sales process, it goes from how to understand your buyer, set up an intro, evidence, the presentation itself, goes through options, trial close, how to present the proposal, if you're doing financing, what needs to be on the contract, overcoming objections. It has a contract checklist. The pre-build process is very in-depth here. There's a checklist for every area, for scheduling, for trades and crews, permitting, the build process, site meeting, job site, homeowner communication, change orders, cleanup, quality control, punch list, punch out, collections, retention. Whew. Claims process. If you're gonna go through the process in-house, we do have a manual more specific on all of this, where deep dives into insurance. Right now in this portion, it's just covered on the process specifically. And then it goes into all the different roles and responsibilities that we have within the hierarchy. Sales manager KPIs, sales rep KPIs, different types of commission structure, industry standards for closing, appointments, canvassing, revenue, you name it. So it is a very, very, very intense manual. So that's why it takes 3 days, 200 pages almost that we're going through, plus your local market research, and we do some additional guest speakers outside of that entire manual. So it's just a lot of content in a 3-day period. Alrighty. It is fun. It is fun. We make learning operations fun. That's what Business 411 is all about. And you also get to hear from other roofers in the area. Alrighty. Any other questions for me? Okay. Alrighty. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a great day. I appreciate you all. Take care. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.